Hello, everyone. You're all welcome to my chat show today. It's a delight. I hope you've been enjoying the music. I hope you are ready to have a chat with us. I have a guest here with me that I'm going to bring in. Her name is Gamu Matarira. She is going to tell us a little bit more about herself. And like you all know, we do a lot of things. So today it's all about business. It's all about business. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to having this wonderful chat with Gamu. Now, she'll tell us a little bit about herself, but before I bring her in, I just want to say that if you have any comments, questions, don't forget, drop it in the chat box. We can bring you in. And if you want to join us as well, there's a link there as well. You can also join us and have a chat with us and get to talk to her. So there's no other person that will be joining me today on Conversation with Susuana on Afro-Caribbean Lifestyle and Achievers other than... Hey!
Matarira, hi there.
How
Can
are you?
Hear me loud and clear? Very well, thank you. How are you today?
I can hear you so clearly. So
Fantastic.
Tell me, how is your day been going?
Yeah, good. It's always good to get to Friday after a long, busy week. So, yes, looking forward to the weekend.
Auntie, yeah, that's fantastic. So let's see what the day brings us. So you're welcome onto the Conversation with Susuana on the Afro-Caribbean Lifestyle and Achiever. This is a place where Africans, we get to shine, we get to talk, we get to be ourselves, and we get to, sell our motherland. So it's all about changing the narrative, and it's all about giving the best to the community where we wish to serve. Fantastic. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is just tell us about yourself, just a brief introduction to the audience that will be watching you.
Sure. Okay. So thanks, Som. So my name is Gamu Matarira, and I'm here based in the UK at the moment, but I'm originally from Zimbabwe, which is right next to South Africa, for those of you whose geography is spot on. And I've basically founded a consultancy called Gen A Consulting, which stands for Generation Africa Consulting. So I was actually born and raised in the UK, but I've sort of actually been raised between the UK and Africa and lived in a number of countries over the years. So internationalization is my gig.
Thank you so much for that. Now, the first thing I'm going to just go into straight and say is this. Now, this month is April, so you are the business that we're spotlighting for the month of April. Sure. We're delighted to have the opportunity to spotlight you to a global space whereby you have an opportunity for a wider audience to get to see what you do and to get to talk to you and to get to hear, have a good conversation with yourself as well. Brilliant. Now, you have a business presentation with us at the African Caribbean Irish Chambers of Commerce, which is going to happen on the 15th of April. So tell us a little bit about what people should expect, because a lot of people will be joining us on the 15th of April. They will be coming to meet you because they know we are going to be spotlighting your business on the day. Tell us a little bit about what your presentation is going to be about.
Okay, well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for the invitation to come and present at the ACIO Chambers on the 15th. It's an absolute honor to be a part of it. Now, the presentation that I thought would be pertinent is actually entitled The Gold Rush That's Africa, The Opportunities You've Been Missing. So it's a structured talk that takes the listener through three main parts, really. So we're going to be looking at how and why Africa presents important opportunities for individuals considering going into entrepreneurship, as well as for growth for existing businesses. I'll also talk about, I challenge some stereotypes held about Africa that hold people back from actually multiplying their potential on the continent. And I'll talk about the trends and the hottest markets that are awaiting professionals, entrepreneurs, and organizations that are ready to explore this vast marketplace.
Yeah, that is fantastic. So tell me how important it is to have this kind of a collaboration, how
Mm,
important it is for African businesses to come together, having this collaboration, one, and then having African businesses and Caribbean business coming together, uh,
mhm.
in bridging the wealth gap that we have within our community.
Mm,
Tell us how important is that to you, and how important do you think that is to the community in which
mm.
we serve?
Sure. Well, let me start by saying that the key ingredients for any successful collaborative project are trust and transparency. So no divided team or nation has ever achieved anything great. And we can, all talk about so many examples of this. So as such, there's no need actually to reinvent the wheel by working in silos. It's far more effective to harness the best of two or more individuals working together towards the same outcome. Now, the Afro-Caribbean businesses, in my eyes, enjoy a unique position because members of the diaspora have knowledge of both worlds. They understand the traditions and developments in their own countries of origin, and at the same time, they know how to operate in and translate this information to the Western context, making us the perfect strategic partners for international business. Now, there's no reason that the Afro-Caribbean group of businesses cannot participate in global value chains and create generational wealth for themselves. However, it's important to note that in order to do so, individuals and businesses must build up the necessary expertise and know-how to create and sustain that position. So it's crucially as important for me as it is for everybody listening on this call.
Thank you very much for that. You are the founder and the CEO of the Gen A Consultancy.
Yes.
Um, so how did you come about this? How did you come about this idea of setting up this consultancy, and what is this Gen A
Mm.
Consultancy all about?
Okay. So I was actually living and working in the Middle East over the last 5 years. And during this time, I started to see similarities between the Arab culture and African cultures, in fact. And it got me reflecting about my own life journey of responding to different governments' calls to develop specific industries in their countries. Yet so much still needed to be done in Africa. So it finally dawned on me that all this international work I'd done to date was sheer preparation for me to come back to Africa, whose economies I'm now dedicated to building up. So it starts with education. I did my education, thorough research where I myself interviewed around 50 micro and small, medium-sized enterprises across the continent to ensure that once I start my business, it's actually built on a foundation of facts and a real understanding of what the problems I can solve actually are on the continent. So Gen A was actually born out of the recognition that there's a lack of pertinent information between, micro and small and medium-sized enterprises on and off the continent, which creates a barrier on both ends for global opportunities. So therefore, typically I'll work with, MSMEs that are interested in reaching out internationally to gain market share and grow. And I specialize in businesses that want to enter the African market or go out of the African market to bring their products and services to the world, because ultimately it's about connecting the dots, isn't it? Africa is
Yeah.
a massive continent, and there aren't many examples of people actually just bringing great practice together, all these pockets of fantastic practices going on. There's so many gems that are unheard of and unknown, and it's the same outside of the continent. And if you match these together, if you match make, actually, the magic that can be created is phenomenal. And I'm just so pleased to be part of that journey.
That's fantastic. Now, what is the thing that is driving? What is the driving force
Mm,
behind all these, excitements about setting up the consultancy, and not just
mhm,
setting up the consultancy itself? What is it that is the drive behind you becoming an entrepreneur? I'm an
mhm,
entrepreneur. I'm a seasoned entrepreneur. I
mhm,
love being an entrepreneur and I enjoy the idea. And now it's for me, it's all about, being part of the community, not just
mhm,
the idea of making money. And as a social
mhm,
enterprise, the whole idea of changing the narrative through
mhm,
what we can bring into our community, it's
mhm,
vital to myself. So tell me, what is this thing that is this driving force behind the smile, behind this energy that I'm seeing in you, and behind the idea of becoming an entrepreneur itself?
So I'm going to be completely honest. Other than the fact that working for somebody else is no longer a life suited for me. um, on a more serious note, something in my heart tells me that I have a strong purpose in the world, which I'm pursuing now. Yeah. So I've always been in leadership positions throughout my career. And like I already mentioned, I worked in various other countries where I actually transformed other people's lives around the world through my work with their governments. So I just feel that I'm at a point in my life where it's just time to come back home. It's time for Africa. I also have a young son who watches and learns from all my endeavors, right? And we always tell our kids that it's so important, we let them know you can do whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do, but I think it's much more powerful to demonstrate than it is to tell, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And yes, it's important that we listen to our hearts, and it's important that we follow that inner voice, even when the world is shouting louder. And for me, I feel as though I think my life has prepared me for this moment where I now understand why I'm here. I understand, the name Gamchirai means welcome, actually, and which is the name my grandmother gave me. And I really believe that, it's my character. It's my character to welcome the most unlikely of, partnerships, the most unlikely of synergies, and find similarities that just drive very positive agendas forward. And, we see things moving so fast in what we call the developed world. And yet Africa, there's no excuse for Africa being left behind. There's absolutely none. There is a huge workforce in Africa, a very young workforce in Africa. The population is huge. It's growing. It's continuing to grow. Africans are very educated people. And if you think about the collective of Africans on the continent and off the continent, it's just a surefire way of accelerating the prosperity of the continent if we all come together and if we do it with a united front. And like I said, I'm committed, 100% committed to this. I've quit employment and I'm all about, let's go into Africa, let's do what needs to be done. And I'm very excited about my journey, as are you.
Yeah, so you and that brings me to this this question that why do you think it's important that we all start thinking about Africa? Africa has a destination for doing business. I remember, it should be like 4, 5, 6 years ago, actually more than that. I was attending the African Economic Forum here in Ireland. And most of the speakers that came around were talking about how Africa has this global power, where this is where the global power in terms of economic global power is shifting to Africa. Do you think they're right? And do you think that is the reason why we should start thinking now that Africa is a destination where business needs to be done?
Absolutely. Not long ago, it was China, wasn't it? Not long ago, everybody was talking about China, and Africa is going through the same phases, very similar phases. Many lessons we can learn from how China went from, being one of those developing countries to being a superpower in the world. And Africa now is the next frontier. So I believe that despite the negative PR around Africa, it is in fact doing just as well, if not better than a lot of developed regions of the world. Some of the fastest growing economies are on the continent right now. If you speak to any entrepreneur or venture capitalist investors in the African space at the moment, they will agree with me. Africa represents remarkable opportunities for local, regional, and international businesses to do well while doing good. It's a pretty clear picture of where the world is headed. So statistics show us that by 2100, 90% of the world's population will live in Africa or Asia. And currently, there are just over 1.2 billion people on the continent, which has, and like I said, this continent has the youngest workforce in the world. So there'll be more people living in places like Nigeria, India, China than in the United States by 2100. which also is an indication of where a large proportion of the customers of the future are located. So to add to that, Africa is the next frontier, right? And by 2040, Africa will have a larger workforce than China or India put together.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. And this, to add to that as well, the expanding network connectivity across sub-Saharan Africa means that there'll be greater access, to essential services for people. So like, I just want to emphasize that is where your customers are based. You have, there's a growing middle class in Africa, and businesses that are struggling with growth in this slowing global economy need to start looking at the continent, because there are customers waiting for you.
Thank you so much. We've been talking about your business, being an entrepreneur. We've talked about the fact that Africa is that destination where business needs to be done. We're saying we have the global power within us. We as a chamber, we are talking about collaboration. We are talking about trade union. We're talking about tourism. We're talking about coming together, for African diaspora, because a lot of people are talking about Africans in diaspora. What power we have, the amount of money that comes from diaspora back going into Africa has become a big debate in our community. Yes. Everywhere. And within the Western community, they are like, it's becoming alarming about, oh, look at what these people are taking back to Africa.
Yes.
Now, thinking of that, within that frame of thought, you've had a lot of clients that you've worked with. Now, what do your clients cite as the biggest barrier? What is the biggest barrier for doing business in Africa that they've seen? Yeah.
Right. So my clients are generally businesses that don't feel comfortable navigating the massive details associated with internationalization by themselves. So I'll help businesses that need visibility, partnerships and localization, help end-to-end expand successfully into other international territories if they're from Africa, or into Africa if they're focused on that continent as a destination for growth. But some key issues that really come up quite often are the cost of starting a business and the ease of doing a business in certain countries. Now, really what that comes down to is understanding from a regional perspective, from a country's perspective, understanding the landscape. It's a case of just having information, and with information, some of these things can be averted. It's not too much of a barrier, particularly now with the AFCFTA inauguration that came up recently. Now, another commonly cited barrier is the shortage of energy and electricity. However, again, that's an area of focus, right? With the drive towards renewable energies, it's an area of focus across a lot of governments in Africa. So again, there are ways to mitigate that. And another one is lack of access to finance. Now, the idea of lack of access to finance usually is tied to a lack of robust business plans, right? Because if you think about it, investors will not invest in something if it's not clear and transparent and fully understood. Well, what is the business plan? What is the return on investment? Have you thought it through over 5 years, 10 years, that sort of thing? So it's a case of it, particularly with strategic partnerships where you're a business outside of the continent wanting to go in partnership. It's also a case of educating the partners on the ground of the international standard expectation of operation in order to attract, things like finance. And like I said, since the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that, took place from the 1st of January this year, essentially the barriers that once existed through tariffs and fees have actually been lifted, which is making business so much more fluid and so much easier. And in terms of registering businesses, so many governments are on board with international players coming into their country and registering businesses and making it as easy as possible for you to do that. And so a lot of those barriers are starting to shift as well, making it a lot more possible than it used to be.
Thank you so much for that. Now, I was just listening to you there, and I was like, okay, just imagine what it would have been if we
Mhm.
understand the values and what it is that Africa bring into the table.
Yes.
And especially for us diasporas that we are here
Mhm.
now, how do we,
Mhm.
I was just saying, how do we really deep into sourcing out all the opportunities that we can
Mhm.
really bring back to Africa? And I know
Mhm.
it's not an easy step, and I know it's not an easy way, because sometimes
Mhm.
some of those of us that are in diaspora, we've left home for so long,
Yes.
and we yes, we have this drive, we have the energy, we want to give the best back to Africa,
Mhm.
or those, from Caribbean, we just want to feel that sense of belonging to where
Yes.
we come from, but
Mhm.
it is difficult.
Yes.
So what advice will you give to
Mm.
people out there that is just there, thinking like, okay, this is interesting. Where do I come in? So, what
Mm.
advice will you give to them?
Right. So the first thing I'd like to say is we all have our unique skills and abilities, right? And when you think of development, and when you think of the Africa is a destination, like I keep saying, for profit as well as impact. You can make a lot of money in the right business with the right advisors, with the right set of skills and expertise, right? So it's all about building up your knowledge, build up your knowledge, the training. Gen A, for example, we provide coaching and training. I know you yourselves provide training on a monthly basis. It's about regularly engaging, not just on your own, because I think this has to have a ripple effect. And I have to say that's part of why I'm loving this journey, because when I started it myself, so many people thought I was crazy. A lot of people said to me, do you know how difficult what you're about to do actually is? But I took the time to actually, equip myself with the knowledge, surround myself with, mentors, advisors, other people who've done it before me, because it accelerates your learning. It gives you camaraderie. It gives you that supportive community as well that you need when you're going into a space. Like you said, a lot of the people in the diaspora have not been living in Africa for a long time. And sometimes you have these, we're misguided and we think we know Africa because we used to know Africa, right? We
Yeah,
don't live there
yeah,
anymore. And
yeah.
sometimes we think we really do know it. And the truth of the matter is we all need to upskill and upgrade our knowledge base, right? So
Yes.
training, coaching is definitely something that I highly recommend. And if you have the opportunity, go to Africa, go be on the ground and see for yourself, speak to people, interview people, find out what's really going on. But if you don't have the time, then come to people like us who've actually done that groundwork. I've spent the last, number of years actually researching the landscape, which is why I'm confident when I recommend partnerships. I'm confident when I start up projects in certain areas because I actually did the groundwork. And therefore have started this consultancy where people can access the work I've already, done, pretty much business in a box style, right? Uh, but let's continue learning, keep an open mind. I tell you what, a lot of my business partners are some of the most unlikely partners. I would never have necessarily thought, we'd become partners or collaborate in certain spaces. So it really is about keeping an open mind and challenging the status quo and challenging your thoughts and your beliefs about what you think you know about doing business in Africa. Because believe me, there are many surprises, some good, some
Yeah.
not so good. But it's about, keep learning, keep learning.
That is interesting. So thanks so much for that. Now, I know a lot of people would listen to this. A lot of people are listening to you, and we want to reach as many people as we could reach. How can people assess your service? So let's say someone is blinking that, okay, this is interesting. I love what she's saying. I like to get to know her a little bit more. Anyway, by the way, guys, if you want to know her, just contact me.
Sure.
Well, tell them how is it if somebody's out there and they are just thinking of, hmm, how do I access the services that
Yeah.
you have in package to provide? How can they reach out to you?
Sure. So first of all, I've got a website that will tell you all about what we're up to at Gen A Consultancy. So it's at www.gena, that's GENA consultancy.com. But also, I also think I believe in building relationships, right? I mean, people do business with people they like and people they know and people they're comfortable with. So I heavily use LinkedIn as a space to share my thoughts and feelings about different topics pertaining to Africa. So, come and follow me on LinkedIn, Gamu Matarira. I've also got a Gen A Consultancy page on LinkedIn. And I post regularly. You can see what my expertise is
What
through
you're
how I
up
write,
to.
what I'm up to. I'll post videos, I'll talk about things. I've also just started a YouTube channel, Gen A Consultancy YouTube channel, which similar to yourself, I'd like to
Yeah.
use as a space to really put a spotlight on businesses and activities that people have just not heard about and wouldn't otherwise know about, right? It's
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it's not just about showcasing and demonstrating what I can do for you. It's also about lifting everybody around me up with me,
Yeah.
and that's the platform I use to do that. So you're all welcome. I do have a LinkedIn and Facebook as well, but I'd say the core of my work will be YouTube, LinkedIn, and the Gen A Consultancy website.
Thank you so much for that. We're just going to have a brief break, and then after the break we're going to come back to you and just say goodbye. But while we are on break, I'd like you guys to have a bit of fun and enjoy this. Great, it's good to be back. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are
Good,
you?
good. Yeah, I'm fine. So
Good.
for you to say your goodbye, I'll give you an opportunity just to, just share your view with people out there. But before you do that, I know we are coming together and working together in collaboration with the African Caribbean ACIO Chambers of Commerce, which is a platform for African Caribbean business to actually really thrive.
Mhm.
So what do you think about what we're doing, and tell people why you think they should be part of what we're doing, and while you're doing that, uh, I would just want you to give a bit of tip to our viewers as you say your goodbyes.
Sure. So, I came across you guys, the African Caribbean Irish owned chambers, and I think that it's amazing that there is a one stop shop, if you like, for entrepreneurs and businesses who are Africa facing and interested in going into Africa. That's actually based in Ireland. I wasn't aware of this in the past, but now that I've become aware of it, I'm actually really pleased, because I know that there's one for England, there's another one for Scotland, and it's fantastic that there's somewhere, for Afro-Caribbean societies to interact actually with Irish businesses as well, and find solutions, like co-create solutions and co-create value, specifically for the African market. So this is wonderful. And of course, with your monthly trainings, it's a space to meet, because ultimately, when you're trying to enter a brand new space, particularly a space you're unfamiliar with, it's always good to go together with a group of people who understand your journey, who are aligned in your thinking, and who support what it is you're trying to do, because they're in it with you, right? So I believe that just doing this together as a chamber of commerce is brilliant. It's a fantastic way to bring people together. And although I'm in England, my business is international, so I'm really pleased to have access and to be a part of this wider community. So and just a couple of last thoughts for everybody. It doesn't actually really matter where we're based. I mean, with the internet and with lockdown, I know that's lifting soon, but we've all gotten into this practice of meeting online, networking online, and coming up with projects that we work with together online, and then we look forward to executing those things together, sort of thing. So this is just another platform, another great opportunity to get these things done. And I've met a couple of members of ACIO who are fantastic people. So absolutely, worth joining and worth being part of this community. And I'm pleased to be part of it myself.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to have an opportunity to have a conversation with you, and at the same time welcome you again on board. And
Thank
to
you.
our viewers out there, the Gen Consultancy is our business. April business spotlighting. We are spotlighting this business for April. She's going to be on our platform on the 15th of April, we are going to have her with us doing a presentation on African Gold Rush. And that is an interesting one, that you don't want to miss out. You want to be there. So before I go again, I have to say to everyone that will be watching, this is Susuana Olatunji Komolafe on Conversation with Susuana, and it's all business today. And it's all about the African Caribbean Irish Chambers of Commerce, which is going to have, we are having our monthly business presentation on the 15th of April. And something else that we are doing on that day is that we are actually launching our Mentor Me Too program. And this is all about mentoring young entrepreneurs that might be interested in going into business or thinking about business. But this is a platform for us to be able to mentor them and give them an opportunity to flourish. So join us on the 15th of April at 7 p.m. It's just an hour program. We're looking forward to having you. And again today to say a very big thank you to my guest, which is Gamu Matarira. Thank you so much for joining me today. And yeah, I'll leave you guys with this to enjoy.
Susuana.